Hey everybody, it's Rob. Welcome back. Everyman Movie Reviews is back once again. And yes, you're only seeing one of me, but this week we're talking about Gemini Man. So I just got back from Gemini Man. Literally left the movie theater just a little while ago, and I'm back at home now. So I haven't had a lot of time to ruminate over the movie a lot, but I don't think this is the kind of movie that you have to ruminate over, honestly. This is the kind of movie that most reviewers are just going to say, hey, it's one of those. How's it going?
Good.
No, you're fine. So I just got back from Gemini Man, and I haven't had a lot of time to ruminate over the movie, but I do think that this is one of those that other reviewers, maybe ones that you're watching because you watch the Anthem podcast, are going to say, hey, I don't know why this is a waste of film. Why do they even make movies like this? Because it really is just fun at the movies. It's not going to be, running for an Oscar. None of the performances were superiorly that good, although I do think that Will Smith did an excellent job in that role. And hey, while we're on the topic, Gemini Man. It's been directed by Ang Lee. Writing credits go to David Benioff, Billy Ray, and Darren Lemke, with original story by Darren Lemke and David Benioff. Will Smith plays the title character, Henry Brogan, and spoiler alert, he's the Gemini Man. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Danny, and I did not even recognize her. I don't know if I just haven't seen her that often or what, but I did not recognize her in this. Clive Owen as Clay Verris. Benedict Wong of Doctor Strange fame coming in at Baron, and Douglas Hodge, who I recognize, but he's one of those guys that you're just like, I know him from somewhere. He plays Jack Willow. Overall, I don't think that this is one of those movies that is going to be, again, it's not going to be in the awards talk. It's not going to be, oh my God, I just saw this amazing thing you have to go see. Conceptually, it's a fantastic movie. If you like shoot 'em ups, great. You're going to love this. This is one of those movies. But so the de-aging thing has been a bit of a controversy, not only on the Anthem, where we've talked about it a little bit, but also just kind of around the industry. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say Will Smith is playing two characters in this movie. He's playing young him and he's playing old him. Now, I will say for most of the movie, the de-aging process is pretty flawless. And I think if you're going to do it for someone, Will Smith is the guy to do it for. The younger him is 23 or so in the movie. And I realized while I was in it and counting backward, I'm like, he's been on TV since he was 23. And it was so weird to see the younger version of him playing out on screen and being like, oh, that kind of looks like how he looked in Independence Day or Fresh Prince or MIB. It's one of those things where even they did a really great job. And maybe it's just because he is playing himself. I assume he had a body double for some of the scenes. Clearly, they de-aged the face a lot. But a lot of his hand movements and the way that he moved on screen and the facial expressions, it reminded me of young Will Smith. And either they put those in digitally, or he went back and watched some of his earlier stuff and then used those facial expressions and those hand movements during the recording of this so that it would look like younger him. Now, would that work for me? Probably not. I have to imagine that the guys who were doing the de-aging had all of this reference material that they could go back and say, oh, okay, so we adjust this there. And, here he is in 95. Here's he in 96. We can go all the way back to 91 and look how that changed a little bit. And they did an excellent job. And, I've talked before in other places about Samuel L. Jackson's de-aging process and Robert Downey Jr.'s de-aging process, both of those, of course, from the Avengers franchise. And I think that he did an excellent job with those. One, Robert Downey Jr. has been on screen a long time. When they de-aged him in the Avengers, I think it was Avengers. It might have been Civil War, or it might have been Endgame. It's one of those. Anyway, there's a lot of Marvel movies. All right, cut me a break. But in one of those movies, they de-aged him downward, and I realized that he really just looks the way that he looked in movies I've seen him in as part of the Brat Pack from, the mid-'80s. So they had that source material to go to as well. Samuel L. Jackson, doesn't age. He's a vampire. So yeah, it's easy to de-age him because Samuel L. Jackson in 94 in Pulp Fiction looks a lot like Samuel L. Jackson today in the Avengers. Maybe the only difference is that he shaved his head when the hair started to go. Or maybe the hair was already going then because he wore a wig in Pulp Fiction. I don't know. The important thing is the de-aging process wasn't my real big hang-up with this. My hang-up was all of the other CGI. It's not a spoiler to say that this is an action movie and there are scenes with action in them. But I will say, just for a moment, we're going to do the same thing we did last week. And I'm going to say, go below if you don't want any spoilers for the movie. Click there right now. Okay, so for you guys who stuck around, there's a motorcycle scene about... It's kind of like the beginning of the second act. And you can tell that so much of it is CGI. It's a high concept, not really high concept. It's a high CGI requiring concept, right? Like it's Will Smith as his old self and his young self battling. There's gunfire. There's going to be like a lot of action adventure. I get that there's going to be CGI. What I don't need is old Will Smith being chased by young Will Smith on a motorcycle where 80% is actually CGI. I don't need it. It's too much. It's overkill. So just leave it out. Like there was a whole 5 minutes before that where they were on foot chasing each other, and that was totally fine. There was a little bit of CGI. And I also don't need a young Will Smith to be able to be like a parkour expert who can jump on top of a damn building. Like just make him a little better than old Will Smith, but have old Will Smith have that wily cunning so he can get away from it. That's all I need. But they went too far. I'll even forgive them for like young Will Smith being able to do some like crazy parkour, jumping up walls and jumping on roofs and jumping off of a motorcycle. But then you have old Will Smith also flipping off of a motorcycle and being totally fine. That's a bridge too far. But the entire scene on the motorcycles, unnecessary. Very cool that we got to see Cartagena, which is where they are at the time. And they're shooting each other and it's great. But it was so clearly CGI. It was like The Matrix from 2003, specifically the parts where Neo is, flying around and stuff. And like we knew then, it's CGI. Of course it is. We don't really need it, but I get it. It's part of the story. Here, they didn't even need it for the story. It was honestly just too much and too far. It's one of those things where like I wish they would have made different choices on that. The very last scene as well, old Will Smith is with young Will Smith and they're on a quad. And I think there's something about the daytime that de-aging CGI just did not work as well. They're walking around, college campus, and you can clearly tell it was CGI. We could have had that, but we didn't really need it. There's other things you could have done there, and like maybe even just put it at night, same scene but at night, where the de-aging CGI seems to work a little better. The problem isn't that it was bad. The problem is that it was good, but it was just not quite good enough. And I want to talk a little bit more about that, but I don't think it's a spoiler. So we're actually going to invite everybody back in right now. So my one complaint, I think, really about the de-aging is that we are approaching uncanny valley territory. And for those of you who don't know what the uncanny valley is, there is just this projection of like really cute, cuddly CGI characters. And then you move up and up and up and up and up and everything gets better and better and better. And then it takes this huge dip down and then back up to real people. And there's just something about fake computer generated model people not looking like real people. I have been playing video games a long time. So I remember like old school PlayStation 2, Xbox One, or Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, like where the characters got better and better and better and better. And this is just like the next step from that, where obviously it's not on consoles yet, but it's so close to human, but there's just something off about it. And the uncanny valley is called that because there's something about the uncanniness of those characters that makes most people uneasy. And that's what some of this movie does. It made me uneasy. But that's a very small amount of the movie. And, I don't know necessarily that really causes a problem. Overall, fantastic movie. So that, of course, leads us to where are we on it? I was 100% sure that I had seen a movie with this concept before. It was like from the 70s or 80s. It wasn't played by the same actor. It was like an older actor, younger actor. They look very similar, but not obviously the same actor. And then after I got out, I went to research and I realized there was another show called Gemini Man, which was nothing like this. It was like a take on H.G. Wells' The Invisible Man, but there was no movie. And I did what I don't usually do, which is to go into like Google search results, page 2, page 3, page 4. And I found out that turns out that this is yet another Mandela effect thing. That when this movie came out, there are a lot of people who swear that they've seen this old movie that is conceptually exactly the same as this, played by that similar thing. So if any of you remember that movie, you may be from the same original universe as me. And the rest of you who don't, well, you are from the absorbed universe. No, I'm from the absorbed universe. You're from this current universe where we slammed together. I remember this thing, but it didn't happen in this timeline. Mandela effect will blow your mind. Maybe we should do that on a different video series and podcast. But overall, if you're looking to have a good time at the movies, if you like action, if you don't mind some like sci-fi, but really kind of realistic sci-fi, scary, close to where we are now, and you can forgive filmmakers for making decisions that maybe furthered the plot, but weren't really necessary, then go out and see Gemini Man. I mean, honestly, I saw it on the opening weekend. I love Will Smith. I love stuff that he's in. And, other review makers might look at me and just be like, well, that's horrible. You're a horrible person just for that, because he has produced some things that are not great. But, maybe it's just me being my age and remembering him from 89 to 95, 96, 97. He puts out a movie all the time and puts out movies basically every year. I tend to enjoy them. Even if they're not high class, high, level stuff, it's always something you have fun with, right? I said the same thing about After Earth. After Earth, the movie he did with his kid. I thought that was good. It was enjoyable. And I walked out of that feeling fine, but I wasn't going to get an award. Same with Gemini Man. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you have the chance, go see it at the movies. I would say definitely probably not worth the premium, to pay the premium level, unless you already have something like AMC Stubs or the Regal program that's similar. I saw it in 2D format in a very small theater. It was fine. I don't know what differences there might be in a premium, but I don't think that this movie is worth that cost. But still worth to go see if you just want to have a little bit of an action adventure. And I don't know that there's a lot out right now that fits into that category. Nothing is like this that's out at the movies right now. So this might be your escape for some shoot 'em up, Fast and the Furious style. So there you have it. Another episode of Everyman Movie Reviews in the books. As always, I want to say a huge thank you to those of you who support me on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek. So you can become one of them. You get to see these videos first. You get early access to everything. You get a mention in the books that are coming. All sorts of great stuff. So go check that out. Patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek. Of course, you can find me on social media everywhere. Robert N. Cheek. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Snapchat, everywhere. Anywhere you want to reach me, that's the place to go. Robert N. Cheek. Don't forget about the website, robertncheek.com, where you can find links to all the stuff that I've been talking about, the books that are available on Amazon, these reviews on YouTube, find links to the OD Anthem if you don't know how to do that. All of that stuff available at robertncheek.com. And of course, if you didn't see last week, these reviews are now available in podcast form. So you can check it out at anchor.fm, anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews, soon to come website and everything else. If you need to reach me about these reviews, there's 2 easy ways to do that. Number 1, put a comment down below. I read all the comments on all these videos. I try to get involved in anything that's discussed down there. And you know what? If you like it, give it a like. If you go see it and you're like, hey, Rob was right about that, give it a like. It's a great way to let me know that I'm on the right track with those. And now you can actually reach me by email, rob@everymanmoviereviews.com. Shoot me an email there. Let me know what you think. Always looking for feedback. So thank you guys for hanging out. Hopefully this one was a little more digestible and a little more on the surface. Not so pretentious as Joker last week. But if you missed it, of course, This and every episode is available on YouTube and now, again, in podcast form. So make sure you check that out. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. Enjoy the rest of your week. I will look forward to bringing you yet another movie review in just a few days. If you are bored in between, make sure you check out The Anthem Podcast at theanthem.com/podcast. It's my other thing that I'm involved in, and I think you'll really like it, especially if you like hearing more of me. But until next time, thank you and have a great week, everybody.